I've got to admit that I do have fond memories of this game. I remember being a little shit playing this on my Mega Drive way back when with my first TV, what didn't quite fit the whole picture in it. It kind of cut the edges off, and it was an old TV at the time, being made out of wood and plastic. But this is how much I love this game. I just didn't care how crappy that image quality was from my TV. I just kept on playing it over and over again, and I kind of missed that TV. Gunstar Heroes is a side-scrolling shooting action game with non-stop explosions, what was released back in '93 on the Sega Mega Drive. For the story, I did have a bit of a challenge trying to figure out what's going on, where the game didn't tell me much about it, so I had to refer to the manual, and I'm still not 100% sure on what's going on. Yet I'm going to describe the story to the best of my abilities as I can, but take it with a grain of salt, especially that I heard what region you're in. The story kind of changes. The game takes place on a planet called Gunstar 9 in the future, and the Gunstar family has been protectors of this planet for generations. And Professor White defeated this robot called Gold and Silver a long time ago, what was going to drain the planet of all its resources, so the Professor ends up extracting the 4 gems out of this ancient robot, what acted as its power source. Therefore the Emperor is the villain of the game, trying to take over the world, and finds out about these 4 mystical gems, what reactivates this ancient robot so he can conquer the world with it as his ultimate weapon of destruction, alongside his generals and Bison from Street Fighter for some reason. As a result, the Gunstar brothers fight back against this world domination. However, Bison ends up mind controlling Green to give him the 4 gems. So now it's up to Red and Blue to get the gems back off the enemy and save their brother and also the world in the process. Gunstar Heroes is a 1 or 2 player, and the characters that you play as is Red and Blue. And there are 2 game styles to choose from, free shot or fixed shot. Fixed shot is where you can't move while firing, and free shot is where you can move while firing. I prefer the free shot over the fixed shot, but both fixed shot and free shot has their positives and negatives about them, except this is all about on what best suits your playstyle. But once when you pick free shot or fixed and your weapon, it locks you into that as a default, so if you die and come back, there's no change in it unless you restart the game. There are 4 different weapon types. Force is the rapid fire shot that fires beams of plasma energy. Then there's lightning that shoots streams of electricity. Chaser shoots the laser darts that seeks out the enemies, and fire is a flamethrower. And there are 2 inventory slots where I could switch weapons at any time in the game, and the game allows you to mix and match to create new weapons as well. And this is where the game shines, where I learned that it's a lot of fun combining the 2 weapon types and finding new combinations. My favourite combination's got to be the Chaser with the lightning, where it follows the enemies all over the screen, destroying them at a very fast pace, and it's very satisfying when there's a load of enemies on the screen and seeing that thing go. Yet the homing bullets do tend to get stuck on objects from time to time. Apart from that, I just love the fact that I can combine the 2 different weapons to create a new one. And if I use the flamethrower with the Chaser, I discovered that I could completely control the fire direction on the screen. However, when I used that, I went with the fixed shot, so I'm not moving all around the screen, and I found that it did challenge me to keep control of the fire and dodge the enemies at the same time. And how badly it killed my fun. Although, once mastered, it does seem to be the most powerful weapon in the game, where it can stop enemy projectiles as well. There is a score point system at the top of the screen with health that is displayed as numbers with the 2 weapon types that I could carry. You can play the first 4 levels in any order to get the gems off the bosses. I enjoyed that the game kept every stage fresh and new, where one minute I'm going through this forest, to being on an airship, to this rail kart stage, and to a level what thought out of the box of having me play a game within a game, where I've got to throw this giant dice around. But my favourite stage has got to be the space level with that soundtrack and flying that ship around. I adored the fact that I'll never notice it to have a dull moment within these stages, with non-stop enemy explosions to top it off. And I thought the camera surveillance level was interesting, where I could see the enemies running around and doing their little actions in the background, well, front ground, while I was playing in the background. Yeah, there are mini boss fights and boss fight. The main boss fights can be quite fun, especially on a dice throwing stage, where some of them are really out there with the mini boss fights. I found the main boss fights to be very creative, especially on that rail kart stage, where the boss fight keeps on changing forms and probably is one of the most difficult bosses in the game, especially on the hard or expert setting. And when it turns into that red thing, that is my weakness. I hate that red thing when it turns into. And I laughed when I was on this airship boss fight where it warns me of the boss's break wind attack. I have no idea if this was an intentional joke or not. So in all, I enjoyed the boss fights where it always had something completely different to the others. There is slowdown now and again, and I mainly notice this on the hardest difficulties where there is so much going on these stages. I think that it pushed the console to its limit. And the game is brutal on hard or expert setting to the point that I was thankful for the infinite continues. And believe me when I say, on the hardest setting, I needed them where the game went really crazy. As for characters, there's Bison from Street Fighter. I really don't know how he got here, although he seems to be the most memorable character to me because of that. And a science guy and a mechanic, think at the level select screen. Also the Emperor. For the graphics, I think that it pushes the Mega Drive to its limit with all the enemies on the screen. It's just remarkable that they pulled this off, and some of the levels art design is brilliant. With the soundtrack, it blends well into the stages with that theme with the old Mega Drive style. I just really enjoyed the soundtrack in this. I noticed that this game has a hidden feature at the title screen, is that I could rotate this logo box at the start of the screen. I have no idea why I enjoyed this, I just kept on doing it every time I load the game up. I've got to spin the box again. It just... yup. For how long the game is, I clocked on 1 hour and 10 minutes, and what difficulty it's set on, the time is going to vary on that. So in the end, I'm glad to return to this classic again. So have you played it? What do you think of Gunstar Heroes? Leave it in the comments below. Until next game, I'm off.